Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 11th episode of the second season of Loops. The Loops episode today is a special one because it's an official EU Green Week partner event. As you know, this year the topic is the EU Green Deal. Let's make it real. And as part of the EU Green Deal, the Circular Economy Action Plan is a crucial point. Now, there are different ways digital technologies can play and different things that digital technologies can do to facilitate the transformations towards a more sustainable and circular world. This is what we are going to speak about in this episode. My name is Luca. I am the Secretary General of Velta, and I'm here to host this Loops episode today. Loops is a live webinar series conceived to spotlight innovation in the field of circular economy and sustainability, particularly the Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe funded innovation. But it's also a platform to aggregate and put together two different European initiatives in every episode. Today's guests are the EFPF, the European Factory Platform, and DigiPrime, two different digital platforms funded under the Horizon 2020 funding program. With us, we have Alexandros Nizamis. Good morning, Alexandros, and Mr. Colledani. Alexandros is a research associate at the Center for Research and Technology, Hellas, representing the European Factory Platform. Hi, Alexandros, why don't you tell something about you? If you could quickly present yourself, it would be nice.
Hi, yes, as you said, I'm Alexandros Nizamis from CERT. CERT is one of the largest research organizations in Greece. And I'm a computer engineer, and I'm working some years now in research related to Industry 4, supply chain, and sustainable manufacturing.
Thank you. Marcello, Mr. Colledani, you are the project coordinator of DigiPrime, but also professor at Polytechnic of Milan. Why don't you tell something about yourself and your work?
Yes, good morning. Good morning to the participants. My name is Marcello Colledani. I'm professor at the Department of Mechanical Engineering of Politecnico di Milano. I'm coordinating DigiPrime, and you will see later on some details about this project. I was also coordinating the fiber use project that ended last year on the recycling and reuse of composite materials with a cross-sectorial approach. Here at Polyme, I'm the scientific responsible for the interdepartmental laboratory called CIRCEV, Circular Economy for Electric Vehicles, where we concentrate on different electric vehicles components, such as batteries, for example.
Thank you. I would like to point out to our audience that at any given moment, you can ask questions in the YouTube comments, as well as in the event discussion. And this will be picked up by the backend staff that we have here at Velta, and this can be forwarded to our two speakers today. But let's start with the presentation of the European Factory Platform, please. Alexandros, if you would like to share your screen, or otherwise I can do it.
Okay, I will try to share the slides. Okay, are you able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so I can start. So for today, I'm going to give you a short overview about the European Factory Platform project. And after that, I'm going to focus a bit on our circular economy scenario. It's a scenario from waste to energy. The scope of my presentation will be more from ICT perspective and see how ICT solutions could be enablers for this, for the realization of some circular economy scenarios and some first outcomes that we have by applying these solutions to this scenario. So first of all, about the European Factory Platform for Agile Manufacturing, or EFPF, is a large Horizon Europe funding project with 30 partners. We have a lot of SMEs and research organizations there. Plus, we have large companies and some other associations, such as SME Cluster, and also we have found our own association coming from this project is EFF, and is a way for us to exploit further our results and keep alive this European factory platform that we are working on for over 3 years now, and the project ends this December. It's the 4th year of the project. Besides this, we had an open call for experimentation to our platform. So we have 20 open call experiments running now in our platform, and we have further 24 partners coming from this, from 11 different countries. So almost we cover all the parts of Europe in this project with these experiments as well. This is our conceptual architecture. At the core of EFPF project is our data spine. We're now working also to some standardization options for this data spine. The data spine for us is the core concept and is the enabler for interoperability and connectivity from different platforms that comes to our EFPF platform. Initially, EFPF starts as a platform that is going to combine and concentrate outcomes from previous EC projects, such as Composition, Nimble, VFOS, and DigiCore, plus also to get some tools and services from other platforms such as iCluster, SME Cluster, etc. So this is for us this kind of European factory platform to connect various solutions in a common portal and provide them to end users through our interfaces and our interoperable data spine. So this is what we did. We use this data spine. We use tools and services from other projects and clusters and associations. And we provided the top level of them some federated services, let's say, such as some matchmaking services, some SDK tools, some analytic services, and so on and so on. And we built at the top of them our pilot, our 3 embedded pilots to the project, and also other 20 pilots coming from the funded experiments from our open call processes. Our first pilot is coming from, is related to aerospace. So here we are building some solutions related to efficient resource management for the different parts of the aerospace. We have a cluster of some companies working on aerospace, especially for interior parts of airplanes. So for us, the resource management was really important. And the monitoring of different procedures. Also, we have some distributed workflows, so we create tools to be able to enable visibility on this kind of supply chain, etc. And we have created some dedicated product catalogs for all these parts of aeroplane interiors and so on. I will not focus on this pilot because the idea for today is to go a bit further for circular economy pilot. Before we move to circular economy pilot, we have the second major pilot from EFPF. This is the furniture pilot. We have a very large furniture manufacturer from Spain, and we add there some solutions about predictive maintenance to their machines, etc. We add also some solutions about field level monitoring related to waste and so on. This is an important aspect for us, especially for circular economy scenario, as you will see right after. Still, we have our distribution workflows because they have a really personalized, let's say, kind of production that changes dynamically due to the orders of the customers. So the customer could order a specific furniture online. So all the design starts from there. So the system should be really responsive and so on and so on. So this is some solutions for furniture pilot. And this is the third pilot, the circular economy one, which is what we're going to see a bit deeper today. So in this pilot, we have a scenario that we're monitoring the waste from a large lift manufacturer. These wastes are handled by a waste management company, operates in Greece as well. And after some pre-processing, etc., these wastes are moving to a bioenergy company that turns this processed waste to bioenergy, and finally the energy returns back to the producer through the electricity provider here in Greece that is in cooperation with the bioenergy company. So what we did from EFPF perspective was to create tools that will enable the digitization of all these processes, starting from some sensors. Okay, we will see a few things on this later, and from adding tools for having cooperation and negotiations between the companies participating in this circular loop, and also mechanisms for track and tracing the waste that is transferred from one part of the loop to another. This is the scenario that I just described to you. Everything starts from the factory, which is the waste producer for us. We have a waste management company that should collect these wastes and provide after that to the bioenergy companies. And finally, we have the energy suppliers, etc., before we have the final form of energy that can be used again by the factory for production process purposes, and so on and so on. The waste producer for us is the Remanufacturing, that is a large company named Cleman. LDI is the waste management service provider, and we have Miloel, which is our bioenergy companies. All these companies are located in northern Greece. What solutions we can start consider as enablers for this circular economy scenario? As we're talking about waste, first of all, the waste producer and the waste service company would like to have a way to monitor their waste. So we are install some field level monitoring sensors. They're actually ultrasonic and light sensors that were used. It depends on the size of the bin. It's an holistic solution that we apply to different parts of the factory, not only for this circular economy scenario. For circular economy scenario, we have wood wastes, but we trying for a solution that will cover also scrap metals, etc., that maybe are used only for some waste management and not for a full circular loop. But however, it's tools that we create some dashboards for monitoring this bins, etc. And also we create some analytics tools by getting some forecasts about the dates that the bins maybe will be full. So the waste management company should be able to go there and collect them and so on. So this is the first part for us. The second stage for us was to create an automated way to exchange these wastes. We see from the pilot companies that they need a way to do it. By then, they call 3-4 different waste management companies and ask for prices. Okay, I have 500 kilos of wood waste, so how much you can pay me, and so on and so on. And they lose time on this. They should collect the offers, and every time phones and more phones, etc., for all the various ways that they have. So what we did was to create this bidding process. This online bidding process is a system that every company is represented by a virtual agent. So each company has available a user interface, can add their information about the waste, such as the type of the waste, the quantity in tons or kilos, etc. And after that, to add some information about what is more important for them. Sometimes you want to get the best price to give your waste, but sometimes when your production is running, you need your bins to be empty because you should continue your process. So the response time of the waste management company is the most important thing for you. So the user is able to add all these criteria in these interfaces, and after that, there is a matchmaking mechanism that finds all the available suppliers in this ecosystem, and also picks the best available offer based to all these criteria. If you want price, if you want response time, or whatever. And the matchmaking is based on some semantic reasoning and some best score algorithms. So this is one tool that we give for the automated negotiations through the platform. And also you can add their predefined offers to have some full automation on this if the companies that provide the waste services want to do it. And the other tool that is really important is a decentralized application based on blockchain and smart contracts for monitoring the waste. It is really important to be sure that the waste that start from one point finally turn to energy. It's also important for the lift manufacturer to know what happens to their waste. It's also some matter of some legal procedures to know if a percentage of their waste are recycling or turn to energy and so on. So it's very important to track and trace all the stages in this circular loop. So we create a web application that the user can add the details of the waste that are exchanged through the platform. And every stakeholder is possible to certify that I have received the waste. I certified that I pre-process them, and I certified that I sell them again for bioenergy, etc. We have also some mobile applications for the drivers in order only authorized drivers to access the different premises of the companies participate in the circular loop. So we have this kind of handshake between our mobile interfaces, etc. And finally, the user is able to export a kind of a traceability report, let's say, with digital signatures for all the involved partners, etc. So by combining all these services that I described before, such as the IoT sensors for monitoring, the bidding process system, and the track and trace system that we're using to all parts of, or to the most parts of this circular loop, we are able to provide these ICT solutions as enablers for this circular economy scenario based on waste to energy. For now, we we see some improvements, especially in terms of visibility and having some real-time information about the waste and the stage that a waste is every time. We provide some more opportunities to work with new partners if they are using the online bidding process. Also now for the companies are enabled to have a better management to the procedures related to the waste activities. And also for the waste management companies, it's defined that they can have a better planning optimization if they are able to monitor the fill level of the waste to some of their largest partners, such as large industries, and they are now searching how they can exploit the solution to some large shopping centers, for example, etc., that they operate, because it's very important for them to know when they should go and gather waste, etc. Also for the companies, it is measured that they can have about a 15 more availability of personnel and fleet in this way, in terms of allocated drivers, trucks, and so on. And also we have 30%, about 30% of reduction of various manual procedures, such as the waste monitoring, such as the negotiations to the different stages of this circular loop. And also we have some reduction in waste management costs. But one of the most important outcomes that maybe were not listed here, but I think it's worth mentioning, is that these tools that we provide, it will be nice for people to see them, how they operate, and give them to start thinking more about these circular economy scenarios and try to move their production to other parts also, not only about the waste, and try to have some ideas how their production could be more sustainable, and also how they can focus more on the recycling and all these things. So we expect that will be a further enabler for this stuff as well. I think this is from my side. We have also a demo video about all this process from factory to factory using these tools on YouTube. I don't know if we will have time in the end. Maybe we can close our session with this video in a few ways. And also we have described in journal article all these processes with more details about procedures and technologies and so on. So you're free to check it if you need more details. I think that's all from me.
Thank you, Alexandros. Yes, for sure, we can put the video for the ones who want to stay after the usual length of the episode. And the slides will also be shared on the event page. So thank you. I would like to remind the audience that you can write your questions in the comments. But in the meanwhile, let's go to the other project presentation. Please, Professor Colledani, we can start talking about DigiPrime.
Thanks. Thank you, Luca. I followed very interestingly the previous presentation, so you will see some synergies, but also some differences with our platform. DigiPrime is a project that started in 2020, so we are right in the middle of the project journey. And the main motivation that, next slide please, that we considered while submitting this proposal and organizing the consortium are basically the existing barriers, the still existing barriers towards a systematic transition from linear value chains into circular value chains, independently on the options for closing the loop that the companies involved are pursuing. Of course, the key complexity, the key challenge, the key limitation that we recognized and we tackled in our project is the existing asymmetry of information between stakeholders of the value chain that represent important stages of transformation of the material and products along the linear and circular value chain. So it's very common, previous slide please, it's very common that the manufacturer does not exchange information about the product and the existence of specific materials and joints to the disassembler of the product and the recycler of the product. And this reduces the overall efficiency of the circular value chain and reduces the opportunity for a high added value reuse of the materials. Other limitations that we tackled is the lack of certification protocols for enabling a systemic and systematic market uptake of these materials obtained after recycling and reconditioning. And of course, the poor acceptability by customers still of products embedded in recycled materials. This is still a barrier in the sense that many companies even do not disseminate the fact that they are integrating in their products recycled material because this is not felt as a added value from the customer. I would say this last point is probably changing in the recent years, but it was still very important in 2020 where we submitted this proposal, 2019 where we submitted this proposal. Next slide, please. So what is DigiPrime? DigiPrime is a quite large project with 36 European stakeholders in 11 member states. We dedicate part of the funding to the cascade funding principles, to the open calls, as we will see at the end of this talk. And our main objective is really to develop the new concept of circular economy digital platform to overcome the limitations and challenges that we have seen in the previous slide. So we have, next slide please, three main elements, three main, I call them ingredients or pillars in our digital platform. The first one is, of course, the platform architecture. We followed the principle of federated and distributed architecture because we noticed and we realized that the most interesting circular economy options for high-tech materials are deriving from a cross-sectorial link between stakeholders that operate in different sectors in different areas. And of course, also the platform should replicate this vision. And this federal architecture has actually this goal. What is a federal distributed architecture? Well, we developed archetypes, prototypes of specific nodes of this federation, and we can dynamically extend the footprint of the platform by introducing new nodes for specific sectors. So each node is focusing on the material and components and products in a sector, and then the different nodes are interconnected together and exchange the needed information in order to create these cross-sectorial links. That's the main idea of this architecture. Of course, I don't have time to go in the details of this federal architecture, but you see some of the IT enablers that we are implementing. And of course, the blockchain technology is important to enable the traceability of information between one sector and another. Next slide, please. The second key pillar is our services. Clearly, the information contained and data contained data model of the platform is totally useless if there's no services that can gather the requirements of different users and use in a suitable way the information and data that is stored in the platform. So we developed two sets of services, what we called the horizontal value chain oriented services, and what we call the operational services, which are vertical. So the first set of services help exchanging information and monitoring the flow of material in a horizontal way between stakeholders of the circular value chain. The operational services are vertical in the sense that they help individual companies in one node of the circular value chain to make their processes more efficient and more effective in increasing the yield of material recovery or increasing the quality of remanufactured parts in this business scenario. I can make you just, I will give you three examples for each class of services later on, but in a nutshell, for example, value chain oriented services deal with the exchange of information between stakeholders of the value chain, of course, the needed information and when needed, not all the data, because this needs to be feasible in an industrial environment. And as you know very well, companies are reluctant to share information. So there's all mechanism of reward that we are setting up for enabling this information sharing in line with the digital product passport concept. And you will see also some operational services later on. The third pillar is our pilots. Next slide, please. We have four, what we call technical pilots, that are all concentrating on high added value components in the e-mobility sector. So as you know, the e-mobility transition to electric vehicles is ongoing, and these are disruptive change for many sectors in Europe, because it's not only automotive, is of course pervasive in all components, electronics, mechatronics that are embedded in a vehicle. So we have four pilots who concentrated respectively on batteries, mechatronics and electronics, composite and technopolymers, and textile. And of course, these pilots are not at the same level of maturity, while for mechatronics and electronics, there is already a quite established remanufacturing network worldwide, and the remanufacturing business is already ongoing with some, of course, areas of improvement that we are taking, provided by digital tools. For batteries, the maturity level is a little bit lower. So there are initial attempts to get circular with respect to batteries, but there is no stable and replicable models all around Europe. On top of these four technical pilots, we have two what we call non-technical pilots. Next slide, please, Luca. And the first one is basically elaborating on the results of another European project where we and Velta were collaborating, that is the SCREAM project, where we developed a methodology for cross-regional identification of circular business cases. And this methodology is based on these 6 steps. In this pilot, we are, on the one hand, digitalizing these steps in order to make the use of this methodology more suitable to regional stakeholders. On the other hand, we are involving a large number of regions to test this tool and to identify new business cases, circular business cases in a cross-regional environment. The sixth pilot that you see on the right is instead related to the initiative we are conducting in the Vanguard initiative framework. That is basically this network of 10 regional infrastructures for supporting, you can call it circular innovation hubs, that have the goal of supporting companies, especially SMEs in the local ecosystems, to test and validate potential circular economy business cases before moving forward with the industrial uptake. Clearly here we are developing a platform for delivering part of the services to these stakeholders and to make the capabilities of these nodes, 10 regional nodes already part of the Remanufacturing for Circular Economy Network in Vanguard, available to the external stakeholders and to the companies. So this is basically the brief description of our pillars. I have some slides in focusing on specific services. I will go through some of them and then we will close with the open calls. I think you can skip this example of the battery pilots because we have been discussing about this. This is the first set of horizontal. This is part of the first set of horizontal services, and it's called the Remanufacturing Data Management and Sharing. So here you see an example of the application of this tool we have developed here at Polyme for the battery pilot. So what you see is basically a set of information about batteries currently embedded in existing vehicles, and the information is very well targeted to the real data that different stakeholders of the circular value chain need. For example, the disassembler of battery packs will need to know the type of battery modules present in the pack and then the position of the joints in the battery pack. And this is what he sees from this application. While the disassembler of the module or the recycler of the battery cells will need totally different information, such as the chemistry of the battery cell. And this is the information that is provided to this specific stakeholder. So you can register as a stakeholder and you can approach the needed information on different batteries that are currently on the market. We have now more than 100 battery pack types embedded in the tool. Next slide, please. Well, this is another interesting tool that the University of Luleå have developed and is somehow connected to the recycling and networking tool that Alexandros presented before. But this is also pointing at remanufacturing and component level. So basically is what we call demand and supply matching tool. By uploading information on available materials in a set of post-use products and uploading requests for technical specification of materials in another sector, a matchmaking algorithm is enhanced and activated that can identify possible cross-sectorial links and, of course, even arriving to the signature of contracts through the platform between the stakeholders that are connected. Maybe time for another single service about among the horizontal services. Next slide, please, Luca. This is the LCPA stays for Life Cycle Performance Assessment tool that Balance developed. So it's a completely customizable and user-friendly tool for quickly launch life cycle assessment evaluations on specific new products or new process chains or new solutions for producing the same product. This is developed by Balance, that is a company, German company already having a commercial tool for life cycle assessment. Next slide, please. So the main idea is that this tool interacts directly with the platform. The user can request evaluations on specific business scenarios, and the engine of the LCPA tool is activated and provides a very user-friendly evaluation on the impact, environmental impact of the solution, with a very customizable set of outputs selectable directly from the tool. Next slide, please, Luca. So maybe a very last service about the horizontal services. This is targeted to the remanufacturing business case and the automotive remanufacturing business case. And CECO developed here an app for anticipating the quality evaluation about what in the remanufacturing industry is called core. That is basically a post-use component, typically mechatronic component in the car. So what happens here is that the workshop that disassembled the component can scan and can identify the quality of the part directly on site. And then it can spread this information through the remanufacturing network, enhanced also by the inspection center, in order to have a more conscious evaluation of the residual value of this part and on the best logistics option for this part to be remanufactured and brought back to the market. Next slide, please. You see one of the demonstrators we have developed at Bosch. I don't think I have the time to go into details, but you see, at least you have a flavor on how the app actually works, and we are now testing this app in a wider scale at European level. Then on the vertical services, I probably have time to go only through two services. Look at next slide, please. The first one is what is called the demand and supply forecast, developed by Simplan, an IT company in Germany. Of course, one of the key questions where you start thinking about a circular business case is how many products can I expect to have back from the market? And on the other hand, how much demand I expect to have on the remanufactured product or the reprocessed materials. And clearly, to do that, you need a platform, you need a tool for trying to do a little bit of scenario analysis on availability of post-use products you can collect back from the market and the demand in order to select then the best actions to gather more post-use products from the market, back from the market, or to provide a more attractive product, second life product to the market. This is what the platform, this tool helps to do, also assessing the pricing, helping to assess the pricing and to connect the volumes to the pricing. The next slide, please. This is another interesting tool, operational tool developed by Flexis. Flexis is developing scheduling software for usual current production systems. Here they developed the first in the market production planning tool for circular factories. What is a circular factory? Is a factory that can also reprocess post-use products in the same production facilities used for the new products. So there is clearly a sharing of the resources, and then the production planning becomes extremely important. Next slide, please, Luca. Well, the last one is more related to the testing and certification. It's a service developed by Centrocode that enables the user to identify the most suitable testing and certification center in the local ecosystem, starting from the required legislation for putting on the market a product embedding recycled materials. So you have had a little bit of overview of all the services that we have developed. And now what? Well, on the one hand, we are developing the overall business plan for the platform. This is not thought to be a single tool federation, but is thought to be a platform. So the user will buy the access to the platform and will select the individual services that he wants to use. And of course, we are thinking of having a pricing policy for the licenses connected to the data flow of the single user. So users that are more prone to give data on the platform will pay less for using these services. That's the key idea. Of course, we need to increase our ecosystem. So the first open call, next slide, please, Luca, and the last slide, will go exactly in this direction. So we will have two open calls in this project. The first one is dedicated to attracting new services on top of those already existing in the DigiPrime platform. The call is out currently, so if you go on the website www.digiprime.eu, you will have all the information about the open calls. There is a budget of €1 million for small medium enterprises developing new services, and all the rules are available on the website. The deadline will be 18th of July, so we really hope to have a high quality set of additional services coming from these open calls. The second open call will be opening in the autumn, and it will be dedicated more on other application scenarios, other pilots that can further test the capabilities of our tools, services, and platform. So that's all from my side. I hope I was not too fast in introducing this concept. So of course, I'm available for further information on this project.
Thank you very much, Marcello. Thank you for both very interesting presentations. Do you have any questions for each other? Any synergy that you spotted? Indeed, I have heard a few comments coming already, but is there anything that you would like to discuss quickly together? Your both microphones are muted.
Sorry, Luca, are you asking to us or to the participants?
I'm asking to you if there is any question you have for each other.
Well, I can start asking a question to Alexandros, and of course your project is very much focused on the factory level and but not only, as we have seen, so you also have services more at the value chain level. My question would be, what is the major barrier you are experiencing in your project? On the one hand, related to the adoption of these digital tools, and on the other hand, on the previous knowledge of your partners related to circular business cases. So I'm curious about this.
Okay. First of all, we have, I think, the same barriers that everyone is facing about the data availability, also the willingness to share data and so on. Even if we're talking about waste, for example, we are a bit lucky in this case with this scenario that we are able also to share our data, etc. And also some of the people were a bit open-minded on this, but it's not the same for all the parts of the project. So it's a common problem for all of us. People be afraid to share things about the processes and make them available public, etc. And I think is something that we should try to push harder, because we did some research. It's very nice if we can publish everything, or at least to publish the results and make also others to start working over these results and make some thoughts and so on. So that was a part that we're facing some issues. And the other part is that it was a bit difficult for companies to add some circular economy concepts to their own processes. They should start thinking about sustainability, about circularity, and all these things. This is something that initially was an issue. I know also from the people working on some of these companies that they are pushed a lot to start thinking to these directions and try to adapt some of these concepts. So it's something that should be done, I think, further in the future. So it's not only to provide the tools, but people to be able that would like to adapt the tools, but also the processes themselves. First of all, is that you want to thinking about circular economy, thinking about all this, and have a plan on this. Okay, so I think this is also important. And plus some things about the technology acceptance for the production staff, because they know how to do the things with the traditional way. Now for them, maybe it's an additional effort. In the end of the day, they will gain from this, because digitalization gives them some tools that will help them, or avoid to do some stuff because it's done by the tools, but still there is not a lot of acceptance in some cases from workers and so on. So, for example, in the bins, when we had some metal brands to monitor the weights. When they get the bins to empty, many times they forget to bring back the brands, and so the sensor is just monitoring the sky. It's not the bin, and so on. So we face some of these things, but I think that people start working more on this and be more collaborative, I think.
Yeah, if I can add on the thanks, first of all, if I can add on the first comment, maybe Luca, if I can, what we are noticing is that companies get more prone to share data when they know very clearly who will use this data and why. And here is where I think the concept of platform is extremely important. Because otherwise they give data, but they don't know where this data go and who will use this data, and this is not acceptable for many companies. But if you provide clear visibility that the service will help this stakeholder to do this activity with this reward, then they become much more prone to share at least some data. Of course, the journey is still long, but that's what we are trying to pursue within DigiPrime.
We have received a lot of questions meanwhile from the audience. I'm not sure we will have the time to answer them all, but please, if your question is not answered, put it on LinkedIn in our event page, and we will come back to you in a second moment. There is a very interesting first question that I've received, which is basically a question about how can we ensure that digital technologies and all what we are, all of these technologies that is being developed contributes really to the EU Green Deal, meaning how can we monitor that the environmental benefits are higher than the costs? Is there a tool is there a tool specific for that in the platforms was the final question, but I think that we can take it on a broader level. How can we ensure that the benefits are higher than the costs on environmental level, knowing that technology has all these resource and energy consumptions, of course?
Yeah, maybe if I can, this is an important point. So we have this concept of maturity level of the pilots. And I think the answer needs to be differentiated between less mature and more mature pilots. Clearly, in more mature pilots, we are testing, we are validating the fact that the use of these digital tools in support of making more efficient the circular economy business cases that are already existing in more mature pilots provide additional added value, both in terms of economics, but also in terms of environmental footprint. This is not difficult for more mature pilots because at the end we are talking about pilots where these performance measures are already evaluated. So we are basically enriching the already existing practices with a digital layer that can make the process more efficient. For less mature pilots, it is a bit more complicated. And because at the end, we are saying that the existence of digital tools unlock the possibility of opening a business case. And then the evaluation of the performance indicators need to be started from scratch. The tools about the LCA that we have seen, plus the flow monitoring tool that Velta is developing as a partner of DigiPrime, are very useful to this goal, but this is something clearly that is ongoing.
Thank you. And anything to add on this, Alexandros?
No, I think Marcello described the case really well with this maturity level of different pilots, I think. This is the core idea how to answer this and how we...
Now, we have another question coming from YouTube this time, so we can also show it on the video here. And it's basically saying, how do you ensure a high quality of information provided, shared by the platform users? Is it controlled, monitored in some way? and I don't know who wants to answer that.
Is this for both platforms?
Yes, she was asking for both if possible, but yeah, maybe Alexandros, you can speak and give a broader answer so we interchange a bit.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure about the question, what we mean about the quality of information, because we are gathering a lot of information in various stages. We get information from users, information from devices, etc. Okay, from devices, it's up to us how to ensure if we get some measurements of high quality, if we're talking about machines, even for bins in our scenario that we see or whatever. After that, about the platform users, I think that the information that we expect for them is something that depends again about the maturity of their process and the involved users. I think that if we have set up some nice requirements and we know our goals and plans, the people are really cooperative and try to help, so they provide us what we need. So I think that in this way we're able to get some high quality information from them as well, even for pilot testing, etc. I think that the plan should be for them to adapt these technologies after the project. So if they have this in mind, then they provide us with some high quality information. If this is a question, if I understood correctly.
If I can add, I agree with Alexandros. I can add one point of view. So the quality of data is a broad concept, right? Because it involves both the level of details, but also the granularity, but also the let's say correctness of the data that is loaded on the platform. We are trying to somehow turn the concept the other way around. So if a partner provides reliable data on the platform, its business case will be better supported. If the data are not good enough, the platform will not really improve their business case. In some sense, data for providers are like a product, right? Because it's their ownership, and they give a product to a user of data that is a receiver and this customer. So clearly there are technologies that help on this. Blockchain is one, the traceability is one important point, but it's more the concept that you give and the value that you give to the data that then force and let's say motivate stakeholders to share data that are really useful and correct.
Clear, thank you. Then we go to another question which I see asked to both platforms actually, and it's about the role of digital product passports. Does this concept play a role in the way you design the platform? And if so, what is the definition, or what is your definition or your community definition of the digital product passport? Because there are many around, I know, like everyone is defining product passports in their own way, and probably here we are at community level, we are at this level, which for my understanding of the question is asking if there is already a consortium agreement around the concept. So yeah, this is the question for how I understand it. I don't know if Alexandros wants to start or Marcello.
I can start. Tell me.
Okay, well, go ahead, please.
The concept of DPP was not that discussed in 2019 when we started, but then very soon we were let's say forced to think about this, and we were already thinking about similar concept in our platform, and we have two services that are very much related to the digital product passport. One service is the Remanufacturing information sharing service that I showed, and there is another service called Product Avatar that is in operational services cluster. The idea is that the first service concentrates on the nominal information on the product. So the information of the product as designed, let's say of the type of product module. And the product avatar is really focused on the gathering and storing of the information about the specific product, the specific part that along its life cycle. So what we call in-use information. We think that both information populate the DPP, because when you apply a circular economy business case, you are influenced both by the nominal information about the product, by nominal structure, and by the conditions that the product encounters where you have the product and when you apply processes to the product. So that's our vision of the digital product passport. Of course, and with this I will close, it's very important in order to enable the widespread implementation of this concept, again, to provide to the stakeholder only and all the needed information for their processes. So without spreading information randomly in the value chain, but selecting the right information to the right stakeholders in order to provide added value to their processes. That's the key for the implementation, in our view, of the DPP concept.
Clear, thank you. Alexandros, does the concept of DDP plays a role in your platform?
Yes, I think it's a kind of enabler for circular economy, the digital product passports. And I think that we consider this also for our processes. And in general, I think it's something that will move now to these products and this kind of traceability, etc. As we have this concept of digital twins for manufacturing. Now we have this DPP for some specific products that participate in these circular economy processes. So yeah, I agree with what Marcello said.
Okay, thank you. Then out of the many, I will take a last question because it seems to be a nice question to end this episode. Again, the others, please, we will try to come back with you if you repeat the question on our LinkedIn page. But the question I've chosen for ending the episode is, these two platforms are being built as part of European projects. However, of course, the effort should be carried out also in a general way. So later on, the question specifically asks, how are you going to proceed afterwards, after the end of the two projects, to still keep the results valuable and alive?
Okay, maybe I can start on this. As I said during my presentation, we have set up an association, the European Factory Foundation, that is based on our EFPF platform. So for us, it's really important to keep all the solutions alive and bring more and more platforms to our portal and continue what we did here and still providing solutions to more and more people and keep this alive. So for us, the first thing for continuing our work and further with an eye to more exploitation, etc., is for setting up the EFF. So we've done this about a couple of years ago, and now we are working a bit on this. We're also trying to standardize the data spine, which is the core of our platform. So if you want to connect to EFPF and bring your solution there, you should do it through our data spine. So we're taking part now on some Sense Hellenic participation for standardization from this body on this. So this is for us our core actions. Let's say, okay, we have a lot of more, but for us, we think standardization, especially the foundation that we set up with core members of EFPF, is a way for us to continue and not shut down everything after the end of the project on December.
Thank you. From the other side, about DigiPrime?
Well, what I can say is that we are discussing, of course, all different exploitation routes. Some services will be exploited by the developers that are companies in the ICT sectors. But I have to say, since now that we have the company that is integrating the platform, that is ExtraRed, that is really willing to bring to the market this platform. So I would say 90% probability there will be a product coming out from DigiPrime with an agreement with all the service providers, of course, of integrating dynamically services to different customers. And clearly there will be other innovation activities to expand the footprint of the platform in local ecosystems, in different sectors, in different phases of the value chain. Because, for example, in DigiPrime, we are not concentrating on the upstream phases of the value chain, typical of process industry. So doing this link would be extremely strategic for us. Really a lot of work for the next 3 to 5 years.
Thank you. And with this, I close this session. I will thank you again for joining us today. I thank you, the European Green Week, for partnering with Loops in this special episode. I thank all the audience for being here all the day, all this hour, because it has been, now I don't know the exact number, but I was seeing that we were always on the 30 live followers, meaning that with such digital events, we have probably been more than 70. But we will share the right numbers with you both in once we will know the final amount, and also we will also take small pieces of 3 minutes that we will reshare on our social media to highlight the most interesting and the most dynamic pieces of this live show, to increase the reach of what happened today and the reach, therefore, of the dissemination of the projects. Thank you very much for everything, and see you next time. I will leave you with the video of the circular economy pilot of the EFPF. And thank you, Marcello. Thank you, Alexandros. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Luca. Bye.
In Industry 4.0, transparency and traceability between businesses and their supply chains, as well as compliance with environmental standards, are crucial to the development of confident and trustful collaborative business schemes. To address these needs, the EFPF project has developed and validated a circular economy solution. The developed solution, focusing on the waste management sector, involves 3 Greek companies which participate in circular economy scenario that includes a waste-to-energy monitoring process. The companies are members of an industrial waste supply chain. Kleemann, one of the largest lift manufacturers in the world, produces industrial waste. Aldia, an industry leader in waste management, collects, transports and processes waste. A leader in the bioenergy sector, processes the industrial waste to produce electricity. A part of the produced electricity returns to the waste producer and closes the circular economy loop. At Kleemann, waste is considered as resource, and its minimalisation starts with predictive maintenance procedures that reduce waste generation. Data from installed vibration sensors in the polishing machine is used for enabling real-time monitoring and failures detection. The solution is accessible through EFPF portal and is enabled from various project components. Besides the predictive maintenance part, IoT sensors were deployed for measuring the fill level of waste bins. The fill level monitoring solution automatically monitors the bin's fill level so that the involved stakeholders, Kleemann and Aldia, know immediately which bins need to be emptied. The solution is established over the EFPF data spine. The security of the communication between the 2 companies is tested and improved by using EFPF's System Security Modeler tool. By using the fill level monitoring, the companies check when bins reach a predefined fill level. Then the part of online bidding process starts. The solution provides automatic negotiations for specific projects, such as wastes, by capitalizing on technologies such as virtual agents and matchmaking. The users can initialize a bidding process to get the best available offer based on a predefined criteria. After all the suppliers, e.g. Aldia, have submitted an offer, the requester, Kleemann, receives a ranked list of offers and a suggestion for the best offer available. Then Kleemann selects the offer and a notification is sent to Aldia. After the online bidding process, transportation security and reliability, as well as transparency, have a critical role in all operations, especially in the waste management sector. The blockchain solution developed in EFPF serves as a key tool to address the lack of transparency and accuracy, which increase the overall transportation costs and the lack of track and trace functionalities through the entire supply chain. In order to address these challenges, the web-based blockchain application provides full supply chain visibility, which results in improved transportation security and reliability. Furthermore, this solution helps companies to track and trace their assets at every supply chain stage and increases supply chain visibility without increasing operational costs. A mobile app based on blockchain supports the secure handshake between the stakeholder and tracks the changing of the owner of the transported asset. The waste asset is transported to LDA in order to be pre-processed. LDA user confirms the delivery of the waste asset and updates its status by using the blockchain web application. LDA is able to provide competitive offers for its services to its customers such as Kleeman, as it is equipped with a visual and data analytics tool that facilitates the logistics services and improves the reaction time of replacing full containers. The tool provides various services such as remote monitoring of customers' bins, fill-level trend analysis, price and tonnage forecasting. The tool is also accessible through EFPF portal and uses various EFPF components. LDA is processing the wood wastes that received from Kleeman in order to sell them to its customers. LDA can use again the online bidding process in order to receive offers for the processed wastes. Then the processed waste asset is transported to the highest bidder. For the monitoring of the waste, the blockchain application is used again in order to link this asset with the original waste. The processed waste is received by Marcello for the production of bioenergy that leads to production of electricity. The mobile app based on blockchain supports again the secure handshake between the stakeholders and tracks the changing of the owner of the transported asset. Marcello, as part of the EFPF circular economy scenario, has available the same tools as the other companies: the online bidding process for negotiating for its products, the blockchain applications for track and trace assets, and visual and data analytics for price and tonnage forecasting related to specific raw materials. When Marcello wins the bidding process and arranges a transportation, all the steps are logged again on the blockchain. After special processing techniques, the waste is turned into energy. This energy is used in form of electricity by manufacturers like Kleeman. Kleeman monitors the processes and checks all the immutable, historical and near real-time transactions through blockchain, which enables the full visibility and transparency of this closed-loop supply chain. A digital signed certification for the way the wastes are handled is exported by the application. The EFPS solutions deployed in the 3 pilots are considered as key factors for the successful development of circular economy. Through the optimization of existing weight management processes, the EFPF platform is facilitating the improvement of resource efficiency through the design, monitoring and traceability of a distributed process. The pilot demonstration is aligned with the target of European Commission regarding its energy policy, which proposes 40% cuts in greenhouse gas emissions, 32% share for renewable energy, and 32.5% improvement in energy efficiency by 2030. With the use of wastes and biomasses as renewable resources and the state-of-the-art technologies, this project shows how Industry 4.0 solutions are deployed in real-world supply chain towards circular economy.